Okay, let's unpack this. We've all been there, right? Scrolling through social media.
Yeah, maybe mid-afternoon slump or late at night.
Exactly. And then, bam, this like perfect ad just hits your feed.
It really is the irresistible lure, isn't it? That deeply discounted item from a brand you know and trust.
You see a name like Sea Salt Cornwall, quality stuff. Or maybe Joann's, the craft store.
And they're flashing these huge, almost unbelievable clearance deals.
It's the perfect trap scenario. I mean, the sources we looked at mentioned things like, what was it, $1,000 TUMI bag?
Yeah, advertised for something crazy like $16.
It says that beautiful sea salt coat, normally a couple £100, maybe. Suddenly it's like $29.
It feels too good to be true. But that little voice says, maybe.
And the adrenaline kicks in, right?
Definitely. And the scammers, they are experts at pushing those psychological buttons, that sense of urgency.
Oh, yeah, the slogans. Warehouse clearance sale.
Or store closing sale. Sometimes they even piggyback on real news, like rumors about a big retailer having financial trouble.
So you think, oh, this must be legit then.
Exactly. It leverages that fear of missing out, that desire to snag a real bargain. And your usual skepticism, it just kind of evaporates for a second.
Pure opportunistic excitement takes over.
It does.
So, okay, here's our mission for this deep dive then. What actually happens in that moment? When the deal really is too good to be true.
We've been digging into a whole stack of sources about these really sophisticated online shopping scams.
Especially the ones using brand impersonation, the ones you see all over social media.
Right. And what we want to do is give you, the listener, a really comprehensive, actionable kind of defense plan.
Like a checklist.
Yeah, a cheat sheet to help you spot these fake sites before you hit purchase.
And maybe even more importantly, what do you do if you realize you've already clicked, if you've been caught? We need a clear protocol for that.
Absolutely, because that old saying, it still holds true, doesn't it?
If it sounds too good to be true.
It probably is. That simple phrase, it's still your best, first line of defense against these very organized online criminals.
It's amazing how that hasn't changed, even with all the tech.
Well, the tech helps them scale it up, but the core trick is still psychology. They're exploiting basic human traits. Trust, impatience, that desire for a deal. That's where the real sophistication lies sometimes.
Okay, so let's break down the anatomy of this perfect trap. It all starts with what you call the impersonation engine.
Right. Scammers know the biggest hurdle in any kind of financial crime is gaining trust. It's hard work.
So they just skip that step.
Pretty much. They just steal the trust that's already been built up by well-known brands. Yeah. Sea Salt Cornwall, Joann's, Best Buy's Geek Squad, even Amazon. They borrow that credibility.
The sources really highlighted that Sea Salt Cornwall case, didn't they?
Oh, yeah. There's a textbook example.
Yeah.
These fraudsters create these incredibly believable fake ads.
Where do you see them mostly? Facebook.
Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, wherever the eyeballs are. They use the official logos, the high-quality product shots, and promise those crazy discounts.
And the irony is, the real company, like Sea Salt, they become victims too.
Totally. They're victims of their own success, really. They had to put out statements saying, hey, that's not us.
And spend time and money trying to get these fake sites taken down.
It's like a constant game of whack-a-mole for them. It damages their brand, erodes customer trust, and obviously hurts the people who get scammed. It's a mess.
So you click the tempting ad. What happens next?
You land on the fake website. And this is where most people get fooled because, honestly, it often looks really good.
Like the real thing.
Very close. The logo, the colors, the product pictures, the overall layout, they copied it almost perfectly.
But there has to be a tell, right? Something's got to be off.
Oh, there is. And it's usually the domain name, the website address itself.
Ah, the URL bar.
Exactly. This is the #1 thing to check, but scammers rely on you being in a rush, excited about the deal, and just not looking closely enough.
So what kind of things should you look for?
Well, the sources point out common tricks. Misspelling a word is a big one, like Cornwall with 2 L's instead of Cornwall.
Sorry.
Or slight variations in the brand name itself, maybe adding an S where it doesn't belong, like Sea Salts instead of Sea Salt, designed to just slip past a quick glance.
Okay. What about the end of the address? The .com part.
That's often an even bigger giveaway. The TLD, or top-level domain, why would a major brand suddenly run a massive sale from a weird address?
Right. Like .what?
You see things like .shop, .top, .online, or maybe something like brandoutlet.store instead of the official .com or .co.uk.
So if it's not the usual.com or the country-specific one?
Big red flag.
Yeah.
It probably means the domain was registered really cheaply, very recently, and it's meant to be thrown away once enough people get scammed or it gets reported. Someone commenting on the Joanne situation mentioned seeing one ending in .shop. That's classic.
Okay, URL check is critical. What else on the site itself?
Just take 2 seconds. Scroll down. Look around. Often you'll spot poor grammar. Weird phrasing, like maybe clear out instead of clearance.
Or the pictures might look a bit off?
Yeah, maybe low quality, fuzzy, badly cropped images. Sometimes they're stolen from the real site, but look distorted.
And you mentioned an amazing example of sloppiness.
Oh, right. One source found a fake site where they literally forgot to delete the placeholder text from the web template.
No way. What did it say?
Something like, this is a demo store meant to show the features and design of the story theme.
That's incredible. Just pure laziness.
It really shows how automated some of this is.
Yeah.
Just churning out these template sites. But even without that kind of obvious mistake, things like broken links, menus that don't work, spelling errors, they all point to a site that's just not professionally managed. It's likely fake.
Okay, so let's say someone misses all those red flags. They're excited, they put in their details, they hit purchase. What actually happens then? This is the double robbery part you mentioned.
Exactly. Such a good way to put it, because you're not just losing the money for the item.
Right. So what are the two parts?
Well, first, you're completing the purchase, right? You pay the money, say the $25 for that coat.
Do you ever get anything?
Sometimes nothing. Sometimes, months later, you might get something totally worthless.
Yeah.
Like that story about Geraldine Wentz. She ordered clothes.
Yeah.
And eventually got stuff that was like doll-sized, shoddy, completely unusable. So that initial money, it's just gone. And you probably won't get a confirmation email, no shipping updates, nothing.
Okay, so that's robbery number one, the money for the fake item.
Right. Painful, but often relatively small amounts. But robbery number 2, that's the big one for the criminals.
What's that?
When you entered your details, you gave them your financial identity for free.
Ah, so they get your name.
Your name, your address, your phone number, and crucially, your active credit card details number, expiry, CVV code. That complete package of personal and financial data, that's the real prize for the criminal syndicate running these sites. They might not even care that much about the $25 itself. They want the data they can harvest.
Which leads us straight into that double danger then. You've lost the initial money, but now you've got this ongoing threat because your identity is exposed.
Exactly. Once these criminals have that harvested data, the game changes. It's not about the $25 coat anymore.
What happens next? What are the risks?
The risks are huge, and they can last a long time. We're talking identity theft, potentially having your other accounts hacked, significant financial loss that might only show up months down the line.
So these sites, they're not really e-commerce stores at all. They're data harvesting operations.
First and foremost, yes. That's the primary goal. The cheap goods are just the bait to get the data, which then fuels much larger, much more profitable scams later on.
Okay, so what do those later scams look like? What kind of consequences are we talking about?
The sources laid out some pretty specific and, frankly, scary outcomes. Victims often start seeing weird charges on their cards months later.
Like what?
Like a sudden $500 charge for something bought in a completely different country. Or maybe you start getting these strange high-pressure phone calls.
From who?
Someone pretending to be from your bank or your credit card security department. They sound legit because they already have your name, maybe your address, or the last 4 digits of your card, all stolen from that fake site. They use that info to sound convincing and create panic.
And that's often the lead up to something even worse, right? Like account takeover.
Precisely. That's often the end game. They use all that compromised PII, your personally identifiable information, to try and break into your real online accounts. Bank accounts, shopping accounts, email.
And what do they do then?
They change your passwords, lock you out, maybe change the shipping address on file, and then start making purchases or trying to transfer funds. That initial $25 scam was just them getting the key to unlock much bigger opportunities later. It's quite chilling when you think about it as data intelligence gathering.
Yeah, it really is. And the FTC data you looked at gave some hard numbers on just how big this problem is and where these scams tend to start.
Yeah, that data really maps out the fraud funnel, and the picture is pretty stark. Okay, so email and phone calls, still common ways for scammers to reach out.
But not where the most money is lost.
Exactly. People reported losing the most money on scams that specifically started on social media.
How much are we talking?
Losses hit, get this, $1.4 billion in 2023. just from scams originating on social platforms. It suggests these fake ad traps are currently the single most financially damaging starting point for consumers.
1.4 billion?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, if social media is the main starting point, which platforms are the biggest culprits?
Well, the reports overwhelmingly pointed to Facebook. About 51% of reports where the fraud started on social media named Facebook.
And
Instagram at 22%. So, predominantly Meta platforms. It really suggests that the way ads are targeted and displayed on those platforms is a major factor enabling these shopping scams. The sources framed it as a kind of systemic failure of oversight in their algorithms.
that's interesting. Okay, let's look at who they're impersonating, because that tells a different story too, right? About the type of fraud.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
If you look just at the sheer number of reports, the most commonly impersonated brands are ones often linked to simpler scams. Best Buy or Geek Squad was number one.
On their reports.
About 52,000 reports. And Amazon was next with 34,000. These are often things like fake renewal notices for Geek Squad or fake delivery problems from Amazon. Smaller scale stuff usually.
But not necessarily where the biggest financial losses happened.
Correct. The highest total dollar losses came from impersonations targeting much bigger payoffs per victim. Microsoft impersonation led to $60 million in reported losses. And Publishers Clearinghouse impersonation led to $49 million lost.
Wow. So fewer reports, but way more money lost overall. How do those scams work?
Well, the Microsoft ones are typically those complex, high-pressure tech support scams. You know, the pop-up saying your computer's infected. They trick you into giving them remote access.
And then they charge you for fake services or steal financial info directly from your machine.
Exactly. Very invasive, often high-dollar losses. And the Publishers Clearinghouse scams, those are usually prize or sweepstakes frauds.
Right. You've won millions, but
You just need to pay the taxes or processing fees first.
Yeah.
And they demand you pay immediately using some kind of irreversible method. Because they're dangling this huge prize, they can often convince people to send thousands.
which explains why the total losses are so high, even with fewer victims reporting.
Precisely. Different tactics, different targets, but both incredibly damaging.
Okay, so we've got the social media hook, the impersonated brand, now the payment method. This should be the final giant flashing red light, shouldn't it?
It absolutely should. Scammers always prefer payment methods that offer you, the buyer, the least amount of protection
Why?
because it minimizes their risk. It makes it harder, sometimes impossible, for you to get your money back once you realize you've been scammed.
The data on payment apps was pretty revealing.
It really was. Nearly 9 out of 10 people who reported paying a scammer used one of just 5 main apps: PayPal, Cash App, Zelle, Venmo, or Apple Pay.
And the average loss?
The median loss using one of those apps was around $380, which is quite a bit higher than typical losses reported via credit cards, for example.
And there was a specific urgent warning about Zelle in there.
Yes, this is so important. Zelle is a huge favorite for scammers because, for the most part, Zelle transfers are instant and irreversible. There's no built-in buyer protection.
It's designed for sending money to people you know and trust, right? Friends, family.
Exactly. It's not meant for buying things from strangers or online stores. So if a website or someone you don't know insists that Zelle is the only way to pay, that is your cue to run away immediately. No legitimate business operates like that.
Okay. What about those really high-value scams, like the tech support or investment ones? What methods do they push for?
For the biggest losses, especially in investment scams, they push for the absolute riskiest methods: cryptocurrency and direct bank transfers or wire transfers.
Why does?
Speed and irreversibility again, and anonymity, especially with crypto. These methods accounted for the highest losses per person and the highest total losses overall. Bank transfers alone were linked to $1.7 billion in reported losses in 2023. It just shows how quickly huge sums can disappear with very little recourse.
And gift cards too, right?
Oh yeah, gift cards are huge for romance scams, tech support, government impersonation scams. Apple gift cards were the most reported brand by far.
Why gift cards?
Because once the scammer gets the code off the back, the money is spent instantly. It's basically like handing them cash. Untraceable and gone.
It all paints a picture of criminals wanting speed, no takebacks, and as little trace as possible.
That's the playbook.
Okay, so knowing all that, how they lure you in, how they steal your data, what payment methods they prefer, how do we actually use this information? We need that essential cheat sheet, right? The step-by-step guide to spotting a fake e-commerce site before we click buy.
Exactly. This is about building that moment of Due diligence into your online shopping habits, taking that extra breath before you commit.
So what's step one? Where do we start?
Start with the most obvious things. Yeah. The price and the pressure. These are the core psychological hooks.
So, red flag number one, unrealistic discounts.
Absolutely. That's your prime indicator. We talked about the examples, 90% off everything. A $1,000 bag for $16. It's just not credible.
Even in a real closing down sale.
Even then, those kinds of discounts are rarely across the board, especially on popular high-value items. If the price makes your jaw drop, let your suspicion rise just as fast. It's almost certainly a scam.
Okay. Price checked. What's next?
Red flag number 2. High-pressure tactics. Watch out for anything that screams, buy in W, don't think.
Like countdown timers.
Yeah, countdown timers ticking aggressively, banners flashing, limited time offer, or only 3 left in stock, or demands for immediate payment. Scammers use this fake urgency to stop you from looking closer.
Because if you stopped and thought about it,
You'd see the flaws. A real business wants you to be happy with your purchase. They don't need to force you into it with a 5-minute timer.
makes sense. Okay, so we've assessed the offer. Now we look at the website itself.
Right, now you dig into the quality and the identity of the site. Red flag number 3. Check the website quality.
What are we looking for here? Sloppy design.
Yeah, look closely. Is the design poor? Are the product images low resolution, maybe blurry or stretched, especially on your phone?
Grammar and spelling mistakes.
Big time. Look for awkward phrasing, typos, basic errors. Established companies usually have professional copywriters and editors. Also, click around. Are links broken? Does the back button work properly? These are signs of a hastily built, probably fake site.
Okay. Quality check done. Next.
Red flag number 4. Verify contact information and policies. This is crucial.
What should a real site have?
A legitimate business must provide clear, verifiable contact details. A physical address, a working phone number, a dedicated customer service email address, usually using their own domain name, not like a generic Gmail address.
And if it's just a contact form, or the email looks weird?
Huge red flag. Also, check their return policy and privacy policy. Are they detailed and clear? Or are they missing entirely, super vague, or look like they were just copied and pasted badly? If they don't seem willing to stand behind their sales or protect your data, be very suspicious.
Got it. Next up, the URL again.
Yep. Red flag number 5. Review the URL and domain. We hammered this before, but it's worth repeating because it's so critical.
Look for those misspellings.
Misspellings, weird extra words or hyphens, and especially those suspicious domain endings we talked about, .shop, .top, .online, etc.
And you mentioned checking the domain age.
Yeah, if you're really unsure, you can use a free online HUI's lookup tool. If the domain was just registered a few days or weeks ago, that's highly suspicious for a supposed major brand sale.
What about the padlock symbol, the HTTPS?
Okay, you should always look for HTTPS and the padlock. That means the connection is encrypted, which is good. But, and this is a big sig, but scammers can easily get encryption certificates too.
So the padlock doesn't mean the site is safe.
No, it just means your connection to the site is private. It tells you nothing about whether the merchant on the other end is legitimate or a scammer. Don't rely on the padlock alone.
Good point. Okay, what's number 6?
Red flag number 6. Research the retailer independently. Don't trust the glowing reviews you might see on the suspicious site itself.
Those are probably fake.
Almost certainly fake or manipulated.
Yeah.
Go to independent review sites, Trustpilot, maybe Yelp, Better Business Bureau, even just Googling the site name, place scam or reviews.
And what are you looking for there?
Look for a pattern of complaints. Remember the Berry Look example. Over 5,700 bad reviews on Trustpilot. Or, conversely, be wary if there are no reviews anywhere or only generic, overly positive ones. That independent check is vital.
Okay. Number 7.
Red flag number 7. Verify trust marks. You know those little logos? Yeah. VeriSign, McAfee Secure, BBB accredited.
Yeah, they make a site look trustworthy.
Scammers know that, so they just copy and paste the images onto their fake sites. They're often meaningless.
So how do you check if they're real?
You have to click on the Trust Seal image. If it's legitimate, it should link directly to the verification page on the seal provider's website, and that page should confirm the specific domain name you are currently visiting. If it doesn't link anywhere or links to a fake page, the seal is bogus.
Clever trick. Okay, number 8.
Red flag number 8. Limited and high-risk payment options. This brings us back to the payment methods we discussed.
So if they only offer weird options.
Exactly. If the only ways to pay are wire transfer, cryptocurrency, Zelle, or maybe just one specific obscure payment app you've never heard of, stop. Do not proceed.
What should you expect to see?
Reputable online stores accept major credit cards. Visa, MasterCard, Amex, and often trusted third-party services like PayPal. Why? Because these methods offer buyer protection and dispute processes. If a site isn't offering these, it's likely because they don't intend to fulfill the order or handle disputes.
Okay, almost there. Number 9.
Red flag number 9. Avoid unnecessary personal data requests. Think about what a store actually needs to sell you something.
Name, address for shipping, payment details.
Right. They do not need your social security number. They don't need your driver's license number. They don't need your bank account number if you're paying by card. If a checkout process starts asking for highly sensitive data like that, beyond the basics for the transaction, abandon cart immediately.
Okay, final check, number 10.
Red flag number 10. Hidden fees and fine print. Just before you hit that final Pay Now button, double-check the total amount in your cart.
Sometimes they sneak things in.
Yeah, scammers might suddenly inflate the shipping costs to an absurd amount, or add hidden fees that weren't obvious before. Read the final summary carefully. An honest retailer will have clear, upfront pricing throughout the process.
Okay, that's a really solid cheat sheet.
Yeah.
But let's talk prevention before we even get to spotting a fake site. What are the best ways to pay online generally to stay safer?
The absolute number one rule is to use the safest payment method available. And generally, that means using a credit card.
Why credit cards specifically?
Because credit card companies offer the strongest fraud protection under federal law in the U.S., for example. If you report a fraudulent charge, you're typically liable for only a small amount, often zero. They're using their money, essentially, so they're motivated to fight fraud.
What about services like PayPal?
PayPal also offers buyer protection and a dispute resolution process. It adds a layer between the seller and your bank account or credit card. It's generally safer than using a debit card or direct bank transfer. Remember Jerry Lynn Wentz? PayPal eventually helped her, even though the scammer made it difficult.
And for dealing with totally new websites, you mentioned virtual cards.
Yeah, that's a great extra layer of security. Many banks and some third-party services now let you generate virtual credit card numbers.
How do those work?
You can create a temporary number, sometimes for just one single transaction, or maybe a number tied to a specific merchant with a very low spending limit.
So if that number gets stolen?
The damage is contained. The scammer only gets a useless disposable number, or maybe access to a card with only $50 on it, instead of your main credit line with thousands available. It's a really smart tactic for unfamiliar sites.
It's also good to understand the security checks that should be happening during a legitimate checkout, right? Because if they're missing, that's another red flag.
Absolutely. Knowing what normal security looks like helps you spot when it's absent.
Like AVS, address verification.
Right. Address Verification Service, AVS, checks if the billing address and ZIP code you entered match what the bank has on file for that card. If a site doesn't even ask for your billing address, weird. They're skipping a basic check.
And the CVV code, the 3 or 4 digits on the back.
Yep, the Card Verification Value CVV proves you physically have the card. Legitimate merchants almost always require it. If a site doesn't ask for it or a transaction goes through without it, that suggests weak security on their end.
What else?
There's also payer authentication, maybe using a PIN or a one-time code sent to your phone, like 3D Secure. And device recognition, where banks might flag transactions coming from a device or location that's unusual for you.
So these are layers protecting real businesses and customers.
Exactly. Scammers using dodgy setups often bypass these standard checks entirely, which is another reason why they're just after the raw card number itself. They might try to use it elsewhere with weaker security.
And banks also have their own limits, right?
Yeah, limited transaction amounts. Your bank might automatically flag or block unusually large purchases, especially if they seem out of character for your spending habits. This is a safety net against someone hijacking your card for a massive shopping spree.
Okay, so prevention is key. Use safe methods, consider virtual cards, but what if the worst happens? You realize after clicking pay that you've made a terrible mistake. What's the immediate action plan?
Okay, this is critical, and speed is absolutely everything. Step 1, act fast.
How fast?
Immediately. The second you suspect something is wrong, pick up the phone or go to your banking app. You need to contact your credit card company or your bank right away.
What do you tell them?
Report the transaction as fraudulent and tell them to block your card. Freeze it immediately. This is the single most important first step to prevent further unauthorized charges.
What if you used a debit card instead of a credit card?
Still call your bank immediately. Report the fraud. But just be aware that debit card protections are often not as strong as credit card protections. Getting money back might be harder, which is another reason credit cards are generally safer for online purchases.
Okay, card blocked. What's next?
Step 2. Dispute the charge. You need to formally file a dispute or chargeback request with your bank, credit card company, or the payment service like PayPal if you use that.
What do you need to provide?
Explain clearly what happened, that it was a scam website, you didn't receive the goods or receive junk, the site was impersonating a real brand. Provide any evidence you have, like the website address, screenshots if you took them. As we saw with Geraldine Wentz, having a good history with the bank or PayPal can sometimes help your case, even if the scam itself is tricky.
Right. So financial steps taken. What about digital security, your identity?
Crucial. Next step. Step 3. Digital security lockdown. You have to assume the scammers now have the details you entered. So change your passwords.
Which passwords?
Definitely the password for any account associated with the email address you used on the scam site. Change your online banking password. Change passwords on any major shopping sites, social media, especially if you tend to reuse passwords, which you shouldn't.
Use strong, unique passwords for everything.
Absolutely. And if you were unlucky enough to give them something really sensitive, like your social security number, you need to go straight to a site like identitytheft.gov in the US to report it and take steps to monitor your credit.
Okay, passwords changed. Then what? Just wait.
Step 4. Monitor everything. You need to be vigilant for weeks, even months after the incident.
Why so long?
Because scammers often sell stolen data, or they might wait before trying to use it themselves to avoid immediate detection right after the scam purchase. So keep a very close eye on your bank statements, your credit card statements. Check your credit report regularly for any accounts or inquiries you don't recognize.
Vigilance is key. Okay, step 5.
Step 5. Report the incident. This helps the authorities and platforms fight back.
Where do you report?
In the U.S., report the fraud to the Federal Trade Commission at reportfraud.ftc.gov. You should also report the fake website or add to the social media platform where you saw it, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, so they can hopefully take it down. Reporting to places like Trustpilot or the Better Business Bureau can also help warn others.
Good. And there was one final warning about recovery scams.
Yes. Be incredibly careful here. Step 6. Avoid recovery scams. After you've been scammed, you might be contacted out of the blue by someone claiming they can get your money back for a fee.
That sounds suspicious.
It is. It's almost always another scam. Legitimate law enforcement agencies or financial institutions investigating fraud will not ask you for an upfront payment to recover stolen funds. If someone contacts you promising recovery for a fee, just hang up or ignore the message. They're trying to scam you again.
Wow, kicking you when you're down.
Exactly. It's predatory.
It feels like the platforms hosting these ads, like Facebook and the brands being impersonated, they have a role to play too, right?
They absolutely do. Businesses like Meta, who run Facebook and Instagram, are making money from these ads. While they argue they're just a platform, not a store, their advertising systems are clearly being exploited on a massive scale. They have a responsibility to improve their filtering and takedown processes.
And the brands themselves, what can they do?
Well, some proactive steps can help, like buying up variations of their domain name, the .net, .shop versions, to prevent scammers from using them easily. They also need to constantly monitor for fake ads and sites using their branding and educate their own customers about what legitimate sales look like and where to find them.
And if we, as users, spot one of these fake ads on Facebook, what's the best way to report it effectively?
Facebook gives you a couple of main reporting options, usually something like scam, fraud, or impersonation, or maybe intellectual property violation if it's using a brand's logo illegally.
Does just clicking report do much?
It helps, but providing details is way better. If you can, take a screenshot of the ad. Sometimes you can even find an ad code or identifier. Giving Facebook that specific evidence makes it much easier and faster for them to investigate and take action, whether that's removing the ad, warning the advertiser, or hopefully banning their account entirely.
Okay, this has been incredibly detailed. We've gone from the initial temptation of that unbelievable deal all the way through to the action plan if you get caught. Let's try and boil down the absolute key takeaways.
I think the absolute core insight we want you to leave with is understanding that double robbery. The immediate financial loss is bad, but the theft of your financial identity. That's often the bigger, longer-lasting danger.
And that theft is made possible by playing on our psychology, that irresistible pull of a massive discount.
Exactly. So your best defense really is that healthy skepticism and taking just a few extra seconds to check the details.
Check the URL, look for those misspellings, the weird endings like .shop.
Check the contact info. Is it real and verifiable?
Wow.
Check the policies.
And scrutinize those payment options. If they're pushing you towards Zelle, wire transfers, crypto, or gift cards only.
That's your sign to walk away immediately.
And if you do fall victim,
Speed is everything. Call your bank or credit card company instantly. Block the card. File that dispute.
then lock down your digital life change passwords, monitor accounts like a hawk for months afterwards.
Right. It takes effort, but it's crucial to limit the damage.
Okay, so here's a final thought to leave everyone with, something to chew on. We saw in the data that even though fewer people reported losing money via cryptocurrency and direct bank transfers compared to payment apps,
Yeah.
the total amount lost through crypto and bank transfers was astronomical. Billions of dollars. What does that huge loss per person tell us about the sheer speed and maybe the professional scale of the criminal organizations using these methods now? They seem to be operating globally incredibly efficiently.
That's a really potent question. It suggests highly organized groups targeting large sums, moving money incredibly fast before victims can react or banks can intervene. The irreversibility is key.
So given how effectively they're exploiting these methods already, how quickly do we, as just regular consumers, need to adapt our own thinking about financial security, especially when we get any kind of unexpected request for money, no matter if it comes via email, text, social media, or maybe even a phone call that sounds convincing?
It definitely implies a need for heightened vigilance across the board. If methods like Zelle and bank wires designed for speed and convenience are already so heavily targeted for high-value fraud, it makes you wonder what's next. What other fast peer-to-peer, maybe even newer decentralized payment technologies will scammers pivot to as they evolve?
A sobering thought. For anyone listening who needs more detailed help on recovering from fraud or protecting their identity, definitely check out trusted resources like the FTC's website at ftc.gov or identitytheft.gov.
Absolutely. Good resources there.